Morning YouTube. So in this video today, I've wanted to do this video for a good while now, and I don't like talking about money per se, as in especially what I earn, because I just think it sets, not that it sets a false precedent, and not that people that talk about it are setting a false precedent. I just don't think it's, it helps really. I think what I earn and what you earn, well, we can earn what we want, and I think sometimes it could be a capping thing. Sometimes it can be a demoralizing thing. So I know when I first set up the business, I was looking for basically, I think we all do it, until I properly sat down and worked out my costs. I didn't have an idea on what I wanted to be charging people at all. I was a bit sort of lost on it, so I did the thing of trying to look at what other people were charging. And then the worst thing was, when you see what other people say they charge on Facebook, I was like, bloody hell, it's miles more than what I would charge, and then it's miles less than what I charge in some cases. So I was getting really sort of really off in the rhubarb, if I'm being honest with you. So I think you should, I've said this before plenty of times, you should look at your costs and then basically go from there. Add all your costs up. I did a video on it ages ago. Look at that, but don't just go off me, go off what other people, if they do for similar videos, and then that'll help you get to your hourly cost and what you should be charging, and by de facto you can work out what you want to be earning in a day. But this video, I think it's going to be useful, or I hope it is, because I'm going to give you the costs on what it has cost for me to run my gardening business from year one right up until now. So this 2023 was my sort of third/fourth season. So I've done 3 tax submissions. So obviously you go from April to April. Now, first off, I'm not an expert on tax at all. I've been told by my accountant that I keep good records, and then he does the rest. So he's always compliments me on, basically he doesn't have a great deal to do, he just does the actual submission, so I pay him to do my submission. Should you do your own submission, honestly, it's up to you. It's your skill set. If you can do it and you can do it as good as an accountant, well, why pay for it? If you don't think you can do it as good as an accountant, well, I would say pay somebody to do it. When I first started, I had ideas of doing it all myself, but then I was speaking to people and they said to me, like people in business, and they said, Luke, a good accountant will save you what you can spend on a good accountant, basically. So it's a no-brainer. So that's what I did, and from get-go I was very impressed with him, and I've stuck with him. As I said, I've stuck with him, and it's worked out well for me. That's all I'm saying on that. So I don't like talking about what I earn necessarily, unless it's super relevant to the story, but I don't mind telling you what I spend, and this is what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to tell you exactly what I've spent, and maybe it's definitely going to lead on to my next video where I'm going to be talking about my plans for 2024, and also it's going to be sort of referencing back to when I talk about the price rises in another video coming up as well, because some people are going to have the prices raised, and you'll get what I mean. You'll understand it. As I say, I'm not an expert, but this is what works for me. I'll give you all the facts and figures, and I do think it's helpful, because I think everybody wants to know what they can earn or what they should be charging, but I think you've also got to be acutely aware of just how much it costs to run a business. I always say, when you're self-employed, everyone's got their hands out, even the customers, because they want money off you, suppliers, your tools, like blooming out. I think I don't know, and what I'm hoping here is, give me some feedback off you. Is your figures, do you spend a similar amount on tools? Do you spend more on tools? Do you spend more on business expenses? And hopefully you'll see a trend in what I'm aiming for. But I'll give you all the facts and figures. As I said, this is all what I've spent. So what I'll do, I'll break it down from year 1, year 2, year 3, and then I'll do a separate little bit at the end, towards the end, on this year. So obviously we're going April to April for these years, or when I first started till April, and then we're going to be going from January the 1st 2023 till December the 31st 2023, because then that's a full year. And then you'll see where we're getting to, because things are starting to go the way I want it to, so you'll get what I mean, and it's worth mentioning it. So I'm going to be reading off this. So my year one for me, I resigned from my job in August 2020. That was the end of the first lockdown, if I remember right. Remember COVID? And for me, I left, well, I was quite lucky, as in I knew I was going to go, so I managed to build up a bit of sort of custom around. I'd already been in a position where I was using my own kit. I've explained this in other videos in the past, why they didn't have any and they still expected me to do just as good a job with nothing, so it was easier for me. So I was lucky in the sense that when I went self-employed, I was in a position where I already had a few customers. I'd already got a bit of brain, you know, I knew how to advertise to a degree. I had my base level of kit, I had my van, or it's not this van, and it was this van, sorry, so I already had this van, you know, back then. So I think my business got off to a little bit of a, you know, running sort of start already. But you'll see through the costs, there's still costs associated. So as I said, take what you want from this video. Maybe if you do the same and you look back at your costs, yeah, it may help you to make your own decision, might help you to make your own mind up. Other than that, you know, if any customers are watching this, or any future customers, or, you know, refer people back to it, it's not a case of we go in there and charge 25 quid for a lawn and then that's in our back pocket and that's it, because you'll see the costs here from everything. And I've gone, so I keep accounts of tool expenses, business expenses, fuel, that always surprises me, and I always split it off: petrol, diesel, vehicle costs to keep the old iron horse going, and office-based costs for the logistics side. Same with business expenses. I'm not an expert. My accountant said to me when I first started, anything that you need to maintain your business is an expense, and believe you me, they come out the woodwork. There's so many little things that you need to get to help you basically go out and earn money. As I say, I'm not an expert on this, but this is what the accountant said. Anything that, you know, and I don't really think I take, like, I know some people you can claim back for like works meals, works expenses. I think even when you get a parking ticket, not when you get a fine, but if you have to pay to park for any business or work, you can claim. I don't know if I claim back for all that. I definitely don't claim back for anything that's classed as luxury, like meals out when I'm on, you know, works time, or, you know, for works purposes. So probably the expenses could be more, but I just claim back what I think's sensible, or I put in for what's sensible. If I'm unsure, I always run it by the accountant. He gets the final say so, and you'll see by how meticulous I am here. You'll also see with, again, I do try and be as, you know, meticulous as I can, and you'll probably see a bit of it in this video. So this is year one. I always call it year one BC because it's not a full year, but this is my first year as a self-employed gardener within the UK. So I resigned my job August 20th, end of the first lockdown. So the cost for my business for tools in that year was £5,089. So that was from August 20th to April 21st. What I'll do is I'll try and split screen this bad boy, and I'll leave the costs up, and then you can go from there. Business expenses was £1,203. My fuel bill for the year, well, that year, was £720. £83 of that was petrol, and diesel was £637. Vehicle, so to run the old girl, this is tyres, any repairs, MOT, you know, if anything breaks on it or somebody breaks something on it, then I have to pay for it. That was £1,214. So as you can see off all of that, it's expensive. I don't think I've done a grand total of it, but I'll put that up in the next, you know, a little side clip. But you can see just how much it costs to run a business. As I said, so that's my running costs. That's what it costs me. All that is what it costs me to run a business. But you're thinking now, well, fucking hell, Sam, and this is for the customers out there, I've still got to pay the tax man. So 25% of that goes to the tax man, you know. So we aren't rolling in it as people might think. So April 21 to 22 season. This is my year 2 season. This is like a glimpse behind the wizard sleeve here. I'm showing too many secrets. So my tool bill for year 2 was £5,130. Now you can see it's still not gone down, if I'm being honest with you. Now for me and my business, I have always tried to put as much money back into the business as I possibly can, and you'll see a trend here. It just keeps going up, and I'll explain that a bit towards the end, but I've always tried to put back into the business. So business expenses for year 2 was £4,170. That went up by nearly £3,000, by 2,967. Why? Because as the business grew, and it was growing at this point in time, we were probably, as I said, turnover wise, we were probably getting, you know, round about double. As such, you know, it cost more to run. Things needed to be done. There was training. I think I put myself through course. You know, there's so many little things that go towards running the business as a whole. So fuel, that was £1,400. Now the interesting one from that, so out of that was £129 in petrol. Now for me, I've always tried to go cordless. So from the very first year, I was going cordless. So my fuel bill was always dropping, but why is the petrol going up? Well, that's when I started doing power washing, and that's when, again, I was doing more lawns. I was getting busier, so the costs, it's weird, the more busier you get, the more your costs go up. So for petrol, that went up because I was mowing more lawns and I was doing power washing. And then diesel, that was £12.99, so that went up by £662 in year 2. Now why? Well, I think that was when fuel went up, but again, I was getting busier. I was moving more. I was going to more different places. I was going to more gardening jobs, more quotes. I think my range went up a little bit more. I'll talk about that in a bit. Vehicle, that was £790. So again, what's that, an MOT? Probably a tyre. I know one of the years I got a puncture. Just a big nail in it. You know, it's all stuff like that. And trust me on this, you can have a fantastic day, you could earn X amount, and then you could, you know, break a tool, lose a tool, drive onto the tip to dump some rubbish, 130 quid for a new tyre. Shit happens. So in that year, September 21, that was when I fell poorly. So I had 3 months off work. It wasn't ideal, but then in a way that meant that the costs, even though they didn't slow down, there was still costs. But I find with me, as I'm working, things do break. You know, it's inevitable. I'm sorry, things wear out, parts wear out, and it's literally it's the little things that you don't think about that will get you. It's the little bits here, the little clips here. It's the little bits that go onto that. It's the little £10, £15, £20 amounts that just creep in over time, that just, they come out of nowhere, and when you're looking through your receipts, you're thinking, bloody house. I tell you, one of the biggest sort ones for me is safety glasses. I have not found, I think the Ego ones are a good safety glasses. They're £10 a pair, £12 a pair, but I break them, I lose them, I put them in my pocket, and then they just get scratched, so I ended up throwing them away. I probably go through a pair of safety glasses a month. So that's, say it's £10, that's £120 a year just on PPE, just on safety glasses. That's not including gloves that you wear. You know, it's literally, as I say, people have got their hands out all the time, and you can't not wear them. You need them. Yes, I could probably spend £150 on a pair with with replaceable lenses, but I'll probably lose them because I'm an idiot. I lose everything or I break something at some point. So this now is the April 2022 to the April 23. So this is year 3. So we're in this year now. Things are, you'll see where I'm getting at, but then you'll understand when we get on to the next part, because there was a change. So from January to April this year, that's only like a 4-month window. The big change has come after that for my business. That's why I've included the rest of this year. So this is year 3, April 22, 23. Tools, £7,086. So again, has it gone up? Yes, it's gone up by about £2,000. Business expenses, that's £6,862. That's gone up by £2,692. Is that normal? Is that the price it costs? As I said, anything that supports your business, that you need to support your business, insurances, it's, the list goes on and on and on, I'll be honest with you. But it's always going up. It's nearly £7,000 just to run the expenses. That's £7,000 that it's gone. You're not seeing a return for that per se. Some of the things you are, but when you're spending a lot of money on insurance, you're not really seeing a return. You are, in case something happens, but it's like a so that's gone up. Fuel, that's £2,313. So petrol, £123, and diesel, £2,190. So last year, from April 22 to April 23, I spent £2,200 on diesel. Yeah, it's crazy. So that went up by £891 from the previous year. Vehicle, £1,839, and that went up by £1,049. This van now has got 66,000 miles. It's 65 plates, so what's that, 8 or 9 years old. They don't last forever, they really don't. It's one of them where, as I said, they don't last forever. Costs are coming in all the time, things break. I've got my MOT in January. Who knows what it's going to throw up. Is it going to be where it's going to be a pass, fail? I honestly don't know. It's just one of them where if it needs it, it needs it. I can't not pay it, it's my van. But you can see where I'm getting at here. There's costs all the time. So this is where it's starting to get interesting now. So this is January the 1st till December the 31st. So we're into this year. We are. So we're into this year now. Remember, part of that kickback from them big increases are from January to April, but most of them are from last year, because I like to think this is where the business is starting to go the way that I want it to go. It's doing the things that I want it to do, and it's going the direction that I want it to go, if you get what I mean. This year, and I've explained this in a 2023 video, I've put a lot of personal development and business development into this. There has been sacrifices. I've had to get rid of people, I've had to gain new people, I've had to change the way I do things, but it's all in a position where it's going to help my business. So tools for this year, so from the 1st of Jan till the end of December, was £9,298. It's a lot of money, it really is. Do I regret? There's one tool I regret, and I'll explain that. I've done a video on that. But as I said, this is the year that I think the business is going the way that I want it to. It's doing the things that I want. It's going the direction I want it to. Now, I do have a direction for my business. I've got an end goal to a degree, but I feel like this year is the first year that it's going to. So, tools, I'll go through a few that I bought. I bought the roller mower, Still RM655 RS. I bought the Still HSA 100 little hedge trimmers, the HLA 135 again hedge trimmers. Why? Because they're just getting worn out, they break, spares, whatever. I bought the Industrial 85 for the exterior cleaning business. I bought the Skyvac 6. I bought the new generator. I bought a trailer. You know, it's all coming out of that pot. And the previous video I talked, well, not the previous, but one before that, I talked about my worst tool purchase. I don't know if I mentioned the name of it. I tried to be as tactful as I could. Now, quite a few people have said about not name and shame, but put it out there so people don't fall by the same ways. I'm very hesitant on that because I don't know in a place that if that manufacturer sees that, whether they can see to slander, you know, because you are on, I know I've not got the biggest YouTube channel, but you know, I do worry about, I like an easy life. I really do. I don't want fucking stress. I don't want people, you know, emailing and saying you shouldn't put that content up, you shouldn't put that, you know, or it was an isolated thing, whatever. But I do stand by it. But I will. The machine that I bought was a Westerman WKB 660. I think the machine when I bought, because somebody asked me how much I paid for it, I think it was about £2.5 grand. That was with spare blades, spares for it, spare, you know, that's everything. It's £2.5 grand. So, you know, a quarter of that budget off that is just gone that thing, really. Is what it is, though, guys. Business expenses. Now, this is where it's starting to get interesting. It's £3,814. That's a drop from the previous year by £3,048. Why? Why is it your expenses dropping? I'll be honest with you. I think it's a few things. One, we're getting more dialed in. We're not making these silly mistakes. We're not leaving things. We're not breaking. We're being savvy with what we do, with deals, with you know, things what we do, looking at insurance, you know, trying to get the best deal for everything. And I think again, it's the different types of work. I used to do a lot of jobs where you need a lot of either materials, or you'd go and you'd be paying stuff to get to do that job, or things would be breaking. Like the amount of kit I had where I didn't think about it, but the amount of stuff where I was doing these real faffy mauling jobs and I was walking away with kit that was getting broken or damaged because of it. You know, how many shit old gardens have you done where you've ran over a gnome or something and you've knackered a blade, you know, 60 quid, 40 quid a pop. You know, this year has been a real shift where I've walked away from jobs like that and the mauling stuff. So I think it's a lot of reasons, but still it's a £3,000 saving. Office costs, they're £630. I don't know if I mentioned that in the previous one. That's phone, stuff like that, you know, anything that you need, you know, electronically to run your business. Fuel, again, this is where it's got interested, is £1,800. Now that is a, so 1898. You should see this in this little section there. That's a drop. So petrol is up by £116 from the previous year. Why? I'm doing more exterior cleaning. I'm doing more power washing. It's not necessarily probably the mowing. I still do probably more mowing than the previous year, but it's offset with the ego. And then diesel, that's an interesting one. 1,661 pounds. That is a drop by £529. Why have I used nearly £500 less diesel than the previous year? It's because I'm being more mindful of journeys, and also I used to go to a far away, not a far away town, but I've just gotten better with the route density, if I'm being honest with you. There's been a couple of customers that I used to go to one town. I used to go there probably once every week. I don't go there anymore. My route has got where it's tighter and tighter, where I literally am just around, you know, my town now, other villages around my town. So I don't do as many miles, you know, as I used to do. And then vehicle, that's dropped by £729. Why? Well, you know, I find a set of tyres for me normally lasts me about 2 years. You know, I'm not running boards neither, you know what I mean. I can never understand why people do that, but anyway, but I find sometimes that the van, you know, will get, basically a lot will go wrong. I get it serviced every year anyway, but it'll go wrong. You get it serviced, they find stuff, you fix it, passes the MOT next year. It normally fails the second, you know, every other year it fails on something. You know, it's part of owning the thing, and I think last year or this year was a lucky year for it. I'm expecting it on January, but as I said, it's part and parcel of running a business, I'm afraid. I think what I've done is, just to give you some sort of perspective, even though I'm not talking about money, I've done a price, for this year, I've done a breakdown on where my money has come from. So you'll see a pie chart. You'll see that there is a portion of it, the biggest portion is the SGM, the gardening. That's where the majorities come in. You'll see a smaller portion where it's the exterior cleaning, and you'll see another little portion, which is like quite a bit actually, where it's from a question mark. Now that question mark is from these house clearances. This is from one customer. One customer has contributed like 8 or 9% of my total earnings this year. Now I'll probably do a separate video on that, because it's good, but you can't rely on it. I'm not going into next year thinking I'm going to get that same money again, because I might not. It might not happen. And this is the thing, I don't like putting all my eggs in one basket. So another thing I've done, you'll see in a pie chart, sorry, a graph, I think I've done it as, that'll be up on the side. You'll see that I don't like talking about earnings, but you'll see my earnings have gone up every single year. For the first couple of years, my earnings were quite low, if I'm being honest with you. The second year it increased, and it was doing well, you know, but then I was off for 3 months. I was off September, November, December, sorry, September, October, November, December, you know, I was off right up until Christmas. You know, that wasn't good for my business, because it meant nothing was coming in. And then January was a crap month, because it's January and it's my second year. February was a bit better, and then March was better, and then April was better, but still it wasn't enough to sort of pull it back. But then you'll see basically the two bars have basically jumped up in size for the next 2 years. So that'll give you a rough idea on the trajectory my business is going in. It is going the way that I want it to. It is going the way that I expect it to. And I think they say you're not going to earn much money in your first 3 years of your business. It is true. You're not going to be rolling in it, but if you're doing it and you're putting the work in, I think you can survive off it. You probably won't flourish, but you'll notice that for me, once I got into my third year, that's when it went straight up. You know, we were talking like months where we'd be earning double the previous year, triple, do you know what I mean? And I do think there's a point where everything you do, you know, your advertising, your word of mouth, your presence in the town, because believe you me, people, you know, they'll know who the gardeners are, they'll know you, you know, they might not know you by sight, but if you've got any form of like online thing, or even not, people talk, people are like, oh, that's the gardener there, that's the gardener, you know. And it's amazing how much work you can get. And it literally gets where somebody says to me, somebody's got to see, for them to contact you or for them to be stuck in your head, they've got to have 14 interactions with you before they decide to pull the trigger. So 1 or 2 of them, they might see my van drive past, you know, maybe even more than that. They might see me in my hoodie in Morrison's, they might see me newspaper ad, they might see me a little bit on Facebook, and then it all sort of combines to when they need a gardener, all those little interactions, I call Sam. And I do think it's true, I really do. And I do think you put in the work. It might, you know, you might be, first year's fucking hard, second year's probably just as hard, because, you know, you're seeing a little bit of growth, but it's a year, it's a lot of time. And you think, well, why isn't it going the way it does? And this is why I shy away from talking about money, because, you know, if you're looking at videos on what other people are charging, you know, you might be at the point where you're thinking, bloody hell, you know, I've been at it a year and I'm still earning peanuts, you know. But then it does all come together, and it comes together so quickly. You know, it's not like like for me, I've always said this before, the phone never explodes, but you got where you're getting that much work on, and it all comes together all at once. It's crazy. So I definitely think the business is on the trajectory that I want it to. It's definitely going the way that I want it to, and I hope by doing videos like this it will help you out. You know, and you know, maybe if you've got a picky customer, you know, they won't watch it, they won't care. This is another thing, you know, you can see how much my costs are. That's probably indicative of what your costs are. But at the same time, you know, customers don't care. Some customers won't care on this. But thank you for watching. Thank you for all the comments. Have a good day, guys. Keep on gardening.